Okay, here we go. This is going to be about my sophomore year into the season. Everything is rolling like it should be. We're winning football games. We're going uh, just having parties after parties, and we're just having a good old time. Everything's working together. Nobody's having any problems with this or that. It just seems like everything's fitting. Well, lo and behold, I do not know exactly what all went on about this, but it came down to one day young lady came into my life, and all of a sudden, we're getting along real well, and it ended up in matrimony. Gosh, dog, here I am, a sophomore at in college, and yes, I got married. I don't know why she did that, other than she had some issues herself in regards to being connected to, I guess you could call a drunkard and a drug head, man. It's just the way it is. We kind of mend together, yeah. But so on, we got married and all that. I'm just going to briefly kind of go over this. I don't want to get stuck on all this stuff, but oh, it was about a 15-year marriage, and we'll get on down the road in that. The first 2 years are the years that I had left in college. It was tough. Being married and being the way I was, and just having my life was. I didn't know how to settle down. I didn't know how to, uh, you know, do what needed to be done in that situation. So, it was the same old thing. I just leave the house, do whatever I wanted to do. She hung with me though. She stayed with me, and a fantastic lady. But uh, anyway, in my football career, things were just hopping. We were on to the road in the playoffs. We went real. I don't think we lost but one game, if any. In my sophomore year, and we're in the playoffs, and we're working to the national championship, and going on through there like that. The same thing was going on with me, though, babe. Never changed. I never changed my routine. That's Saturday night or Saturday evening was miserable in regards of how I felt, but I got the job done on that football field. Uh, I thought it was a successful way to do things. How do you change it when you're doing so a pretty good deal in this whole line of work that I'm doing? And got a lot of got a lot of praise, I guess you'd call it, when we were winning, and all of that kind of stuff kind of gets you a big head. So uh, I just kept on with the same program, and getting now I would be getting some problems. I would be in bed check. Like back then though, after I got married, I got kind of a leeway on my bed check stuff because, you don't have to go to the dorm. You go to your own little house or where you're living in apartment or whatever, and you got a little more freedom that way. So, that helped a little bit. But I didn't. I stayed in the doghouse, as you'd say, with my wife a lot. But it was amazing. She stayed with me, and it turned out we had a couple of boys, and down the road and everything. And I will get into that type of where I get out of college and stuff like that. So, but my alcohol. Well, that I'm gonna say a few more words about uh, where I was headed with the drugs, and then I probably get shut it down. I don't want to go too long, but we got one of our players that was he was a good player. He played right. He played beside me, and he was a defensive tackle. I was nose guard. And anyway, they had somehow or another gotten a house to stay in. It was a friend of his that went to school there, and they managed to get a house. They rented a house, and that's where we would go to do all of our partying and everything and good stuff like that. Well, Well, I tell you what, when you're out there doing that, the beer, the alcohol, whatever you want to call it, was flowing like crazy. And then all of a sudden, people coming into the house, different people everywhere coming in and partying. And, they always had something they would bring in or something they would have and say, hey, man, you want to do this? You want to do that? And I said, sure, man, sure. I didn't draw, I didn't draw the line nowhere now. I'm fancy free. I'm doing everything and anything. It was just like, wow, let's experience this and that. So I'll never forget one night we were in there and we were having a good time partying down and this they were making something in a little jar. It was a big old looked like Kool-Aid, And I said, man, what in the world is this? And he said, that's mushroom tea. I said, mushroom tea, what is that? See, well, they didn't really tell me what it was, but they said, would you like to have a cup? I said, yeah, sure. Why not? So anyway, uh, I can remember brought me one of these little bitty ounce thing cups, boy, and it was full. And I said, whoa, man, that's pretty chinchy there, ain't it? What you give me? They said, no, you better take a drink of that, knock it back, drink a beer, whatever. So, boy, I knocked it back, and wow, nothing. It wasn't nothing that caught my attention, but they brought me another one and then I got about three good little with those little bitty cups down me. And I would say, well, give me one more. And they said, well, I tell you what, won't you wait just a few minutes and see what happens? And I'm going, what is going on? What do you mean what's going to happen? Well, about 10 minutes later, man, I went skyrocked. Okay. I've never had that kind of speed rush in my life, but I was on a dadgum roller coaster and the lights were, just sparkling and just zooming around. And I mean, man, wow, this is why I've never been in that situation, So I just, when I do something like that, I kind of adjust my frame of mind and say, hey, I did this and I'm going to go through this ride and, I'll come down sometime, whatever it is. That's the way I was. But I couldn't believe how much I would get them long neck Budweiser and I'd suck the bottom out of those things like it was just, I couldn't believe it. And anyway, so it rocked along, for this was a trip, boy. I mean, this is a trip about 2 or 3 hours, I guess. And, but I went with it. I went with it. I didn't try to fight it or try to go, oh, I'm freaking out or whatever. I just went with it, and it was one of those deals. I just stayed to the end and had a good time. Everything came out good on the other end. Came down eventually. I looked around and it wasn't no beer, man. It was all gone. I done drank it all. So that was an episode that I just was wild about, and never had any fear. Never had any fear about this stuff. And I could have woke up or come to in a position where I never even knew where I was. I mean, but I did recollect back. I didn't black out like I usually would. So man, that was something that really got my attention, man. I said, this speed like this or this rush overcame my blackout. So as much as I drank, I didn't black out. So I'm a racing maniac, drunk, but I know what I'm doing, so I'm not getting in any bind on what I did do. So I remember. So oh my God, that grabbed me there, And so there we go. I'm looking for that next rush. I'm looking for that next speed trip. And, I got into a place where I could find some black mollies, and I got some things that I think it goes back old school. I know black mollies, but man, you could buy them 30 at a time and all that good stuff from different people. And, I didn't think about anything is that all my mind was racing on is I didn't black out on these things. And I went, that was my solution, man. I could drink now and I didn't black out. Wow. That is impossible because I blacked out every time I drank. So, that was just another step up into the drug world, another means of trying to overcome the disease, overcome the alcohol, and battle it, fight it, do whatever I could to stay with it so I can, you know, uh, live with alcohol and live with it where I wouldn't get in trouble. I could be comfortable about things that I did, and I would just go on about living my life and to the, whatever it took, whatever it took. So I just want to give a heads up on there I am. I'm right in the middle of now of some drugs that and things like that, and no bars hold. Everything's wide open. I would do anything, anytime, anywhere. But I just want to lay that on you. I'm gonna come back in at the end of my sophomore year, and tell you some of the things that went down on that year, and then I'll go into my junior, senior year, and that's where I'm standing right now, and I deliver some of those messages that this alcohol and drugs, it's not the way to do the deal. It gives you everything that you don't want to live for. It's crazy. So if you're out there, and you got things that's going on, and you're using or abusing something, or drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, to get by in life, there's no end. There's no way up. I can testify to that. Uh, so if you have anybody that you're interested in that's going through that kind of stuff, and they need somebody to reach out, or they need to listen to somebody that has this going on in their life and they've overcome it through the grace of God, and you'll find out the solutions that I have in an ongoing living my life one day at a time. Uh, you can tune into this and listen to it. And this old crazy dude right here that went through all this, he's on the other side looking back, and he is so grateful to be able to say something or do something for the next individual that's coming down the same way. So I'm gonna let it ride right here, and I'll be back pretty quick, and we'll start in on my end of my sophomore year. Later.